Hi, I'm Chris Fox, founder of strutnavapp.com. Today, I want to share with you some techniques for building up profiles of organizations within strutnavapp.com. Now, an organization could be a competitor, a customer, a supplier, or a partner, or even a potential customer, supplier, or partner. Or it could be a parent company, a subsidiary, or even an acquisition target. It really doesn't matter for the purposes of what we're going to look at today. So I'm going to start off on this screen for creating a new organization. And I'm going to enter the name of the organization we want to work with, which is Deliveroo, the UK fast food-based delivery company. And one of the first things I always do when creating a new company is I look for its website. And I can do that very easily by control clicking on this little icon over here. And you'll see it's opened up Google with a search for Deliveroo, and it's found it right here, and I can click on the website and obviously browse that at my leisure. What I usually do then is just click on the URL and press Control-C to copy that. I can close this tab down now, return to my organization record here, and then Control-V to paste that URL into the URL bar. Once I've done that, then whenever I click on the icon again, it'll take me directly to that website without doing the Google search again. You'll see it's also examined the website and pulled out a candidate icon for Deliveroo. Now I want to start looking for some insight about Deliveroo, so I can click on this little news icon next to the name of the organization here. And you'll see it's again opened up Google, it's again done a search for Deliveroo, but this time it's defaulted the search to the Google News search function rather than just the general search function. And you'll see I've got a list of recent news articles about Deliveroo, which I can scan through. My eye naturally falls to this one over here, titled "The Lockdown Has Exposed the Fatal Flaw in Deliveroo's Business," as I think that's likely to contain some good strategic insight about Deliveroo as a business. So I click on this particular article. It takes me through to the article on the Wired website, and I scroll down and I'm reading what looks like some quite interesting information about Deliveroo. I'm not going to settle on this particular piece of text here, which I think is particularly interesting, and I'm going to highlight that piece of text, and then I'm going to click on this little button on my Chrome bookmark bar called Add to StrutNav App. If I click on that button, you'll see it's taken the text that I've selected and copied it in here. It's also created a link to the article, and this is a hyperlinked link so I can get back to the article easily. And it's analyzed the page and worked out where it can the date on which this particular article was published. Now this text box here is fully editable, so I can change that. I can add comments if I want to, but to be honest, that's usually not necessary. I can just take the text as I cut and paste it from the article. It's suggested that I'm working on the project that I was working on originally, which again is usually the case, but if it's not, I can use the little drop down to select a different project. Then you'll see over here, it's come up with a list of suggested insights and suggested organizations that this text might be about. And it's done that by analyzing this text and then analyzing the content of your strategy project to work out what the text might be about. In this case, you can see it's correctly identified that it's most likely about the organization Deliveroo. Of course, that might not necessarily have been the case depending on what the text looked like. If the correct organization or correct insight didn't appear in the top 5, I can, of course, go over here and start typing the name Deliveroo, and it would find it within the strategy project that we're working on. But in this case, because it's correctly identified that this article is about Deliveroo, I can simply click on that, and it'll take me back to that Deliveroo record that we've just created, and it'll paste that text into the notes section about this particular organization, and it'll say that on this date, at this time, this user wrote this piece of text. And there you can see the exact text as we copied it, including the reference and the date on which it was published. Now, ordinarily, I would then go into my description bar and start adding some of the insight from this particular piece of text to my description of the organization. So here I might say we're now starting to build up a picture of the financials of Deliveroo. And so I might insert a small table, and I can say this is for, we're referring to last year, so it's 2019. I can say we've got the revenue figures, and we've got the losses as well. And so for 2019, we know that the revenue was, where is it? 476 million here it says. So it's 476 million, and that's up by 72%. And we know that the losses were 232 million, and that's up by 16%, 16.6%. So I can type that in my table, and as you see, we're starting to build a table of data that might be relevant to our analysis about Deliveroo. Now, at this stage, I could then click back on the news bar and start looking for another article, or I could just return simply back to the original article by clicking again on that link there, and I could carry on reading to see if there's any additional information that might be of interest. And of course, I noticed when I was scanning it originally, I missed that this might be interesting to know who the founder of Deliveroo was. So I can again highlight that text, click on Add to StratNav App. It's again correctly identified that this is about Deliveroo. I can click on Deliveroo again, and it's added an additional note here. And this time, instead of going and editing the description with the new information I found, I can go and edit the stakeholders. So I can add the stakeholder Will Stew. Just type in his name, press enter, it'll add a stakeholder, and I can describe his role name. He's the founder, and now I've started to build up some more information about the stakeholders as well as the financials of Deliveroo. And that might help me if I want to understand more about how I might approach this organization or what their other goals and ambitions might be. Of course, it's created a stakeholder record, and I could go into that stakeholder record there and capture more information if I could find it about Will Stew, but we're not going to do that right now. Now, I can repeat as much as I want, going around either clicking on the news button to look for different articles about Deliveroo, or going back to that article that I've already found, until I've built up what I think is a sufficient picture, or at least as much information about Deliveroo as I'll be able to find at the moment. Once I've run out of things I can find now, something I might suggest is that I want to come back to this in 2 weeks' time and see if there's any new news about Deliveroo. So I can click Add a Related Action, and I can add an action called Review New News about Deliveroo. I'll say by 14th of June 2020, and it'll create an action for me to go and do that. And when the 14th of June 2020 comes around, the system will remind me that it's time to go and have another look for news about Deliveroo. So you'll see that this little bookmarklet that we've got up here in our bookmarks bar is a very useful tool for helping us find and capture information from the internet about organizations to build up a profile on them. Of course, you're probably wondering, how do I get this little bookmarklet into my bookmarks? And we've got some very simple instructions. So if I click back here on StratNav app, go down to the bottom, click on the blog, you'll see there's a little article here called Add Content with the Bookmarklet. And if I click on that, I'll get full instructions for how to add this little bookmarklet up here. In most browsers, it's actually really simple. It's as simple as grabbing this little link here, pulling it up and dropping it on my bookmark bar. And now you'll see it's added a second copy of Add to StratNav app, which is not particularly helpful, of course, so I'm going to delete that one almost immediately, just so I've got my original one. But you'll see how easy it is to create that little bookmarklet so that you can easily find and include text from the internet, from your research, into your StratNav app project. So I hope you found that useful, and I hope you have some good experiences with using that and building and executing better strategies. Thanks very much for taking the time to watch this.